Hi there, I'm Jennifer Johnson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is all about raising sheep for their wool. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Majacraft Pioneer X spinning wheel that I'm going to be offering at a significant discount in my booth at the Rhinebeck Fiber Festival, which is October 19th and 20th. I'm going to be in Building C, Booth 8. And the Pioneer wheel is a wheel that's been discontinued by Majacraft. And the wheel I'm offering in the booth at the discount will be the wheel I was offering as a demo wheel. So people were spinning on the Pioneer that I own in order to get a feel for the Majacraft wheel. And I don't need it any longer. So this is kind of a great opportunity for a beginner spinner that wants a very high-end spinning wheel. The Pioneer has the same crank system as our Rose and Suzie, so you're going to get that really nice, easy, smooth treadling that you would get with the Rose or the Suzie. So what I wanted to do in this video is I need to do a couple things to get it ready to offer in the booth. Number one is, this is not the correct flyer. The Pioneer comes with the standard fine flyer, which is this flyer. And the standard fine flyer has the open flyer hook, 2 open guides, and then a ceramic lined orifice. So that's, I'm going to be replacing this Delta flyer with that one. And also the pulley I have on the Pioneer right now. And the pulley I have isn't the one that comes with the Pioneer. And the reason it's on here is because it just so happened to be the one that was available. So all my demo wheels are kind of mixy-matchy right now. But the correct pulley for the Pioneer wheel is this pulley. It's the Suzie Pulley. And it just gives you some nice moderate ratios. I will place the ratios up here, but you should be able to, with this pulley, spin a really nice DK sport weight. You can go finer. There is this slow pulley, which you would want to get if you wanted to do any kind of art yarn spinning on the Pioneer. So, and then I also, when I was treadling it during a festival, I kind of noticed that it was a little bit squeaky, so I'm going to check that out. And if I need to, I'm going to change out the hinges, but I'll double check that and see what's happening there. So, I did want to mention one other thing about spinning demo wheels in my booth. So I've got all 5 of the wheels, the Luna, Suzie, Aura, Rose, and the Little Gem. So I'll have all 5 of those in my booth available for you to try. The other thing I do is if you wanted to bring in your wheel, let's say you're having issues or there's things that are confusing you, bring your wheel to the booth. I'm going to have my toolkit loaded with everything that I need to do a really good troubleshooting. I've got all the grub screws, I've got the correct screwdrivers, the Vaseline. So I'm going to be well set to help you if you have to do any tweaking on your wheel. The other thing that I have in the booth is this kit, which I've got loaded with all the pieces parts, flyer hooks, Conrad joiners, grub screws, springs, knobs. So if you're needing a part or missing one, chances are I'm going to have it with me at the booth. So stop by and we can just kind of go through here and figure out what you need to get your wheel working to where you're spinning your dreams. So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to change the pulley. So I'm going to show you how I do that. There are 4 pulleys offered by Majacraft, and you can interchange them on all the wheels. There's a very fast pulley for spinning lace weight. Then there's the Little Gem and the Suzie, and those are for doing your DK sport weight, your standard yarns. And then there is the slow pulley, which I have installed on the Pioneer. It's the biggest one, so you're going to get the lowest ratios, which allows lower twist, which is very well suited for spinning art yarns. So what I want to do today is I want to take this pulley off and put this pulley on to get it back to the true Pioneer. The other thing I just wanted to mention is when you buy a new wheel, you get a full set of these Allen wrenches with a really nice handle. A 2 and a 4, I think, is what comes with the wheels. And so I will make sure that that is part of your setup because you're going to need this if you ever want to change your pulley or do any kind. I think that's really the only reason why you would want it would be to change the pulley. All right. Now the Pioneer does not have that tilting head, which is something that we really love on the Suzie, Aura, and Rose. That's one of the reasons why it was priced at $989 originally. So it's not high end, it's more kind of like what they considered a starter wheel. The other thing to point out on the Pioneer is that there's only one groove on the drive wheel. So when you're working with your Suzie or your Rose or your Aura, you've got those multiple grooves to give you all that many more ratios. Again, just a way to keep the cost down, keep it simple. Honestly, for most of us, for me, this would be perfectly fine for me to spin on. I guess the only thing I would miss is I do use the tilting head, so if that's important to you, this may not be a good option for you. Just one other cool thing I want to show you is the handle, the carrying handle. You can pull that out and put it into the stem so it's nice and smooth. I usually just leave it out. All right, so we are now going to attempt to remove this slow pulley. First thing you want to do is remove the drive band from the pulley. Now, there's a grub screw in there that is actually seated directly onto the shaft, and that's what keeps the pulley nice and tight. You have to make sure that you tighten this way more than hand tight in order for this to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2mm Allen wrench and just sit it nice and firm in the head of the grub screw. And then I'm going to go counterclockwise to the left. That's okay. That snapping sound is what you want to hear. That means that you've unseated it from your shaft. Now I'm going to pull it out maybe a couple of rounds. I don't want the grub screw to fall out, but I want it up far enough so that I can slide off my pulley. Perfect. The reason you need to have that pulley more than just hand tight is because otherwise you're going to get noise. So if it's one of your troubleshooting things, is if you get a new wheel, you assemble it and you're starting to hear some squeaking or weird noise in the bobbin, first thing to check is make sure that your pulley grub screw is extremely tight. Many times when we talk about screwing into the wood, I always say just hand tight, because like the screws that attach the stem to the base, it's not like you're going to be, hitting baseballs with it. It doesn't have to be super, super firm. And so I say hand tight. You don't want to go too far into the wood and cause any kind of damage. But when we're doing metal on metal, you want to tighten it so much that you're afraid you're going to break your wrench. I'm not exaggerating. Okay, so the Suzie Pulley, it should have the grub screw in there already. And yes, it does. So you always want to... You want to pull the grub screw out, so we're going to loosen it and ensure that it's not interfering with this channel here that's coming through the pulley, because it'll get caught up on the shaft. There's a flat on the shaft. Where'd it go? Which is where you want to seat the grub screw. There it is. And I also want to line up the grooves of the drive wheel with the grooves of the pulley. And then I'm preventing the shaft from moving by holding on to the delta orifice over here so that the grub screw will seat directly into that flat on the shaft. Engage my Allen wrench and then tighten, tighten, tighten. Okay, now I'm getting a little resistance. Now here's where you really want to just drive it in there. And what you're imagining is that the bottom of the grub screw is just embedding itself into that flat. You see, I'm actually twisting the wrench. That's correct. That's the amount of tightness you want. Okay, perfect. All right, so we have changed it to the Suzie Pulley, which is what comes standard with the Pioneer. So now I'm going to put the drive wheel back on, or the drive band, excuse me. You want a nice snap, you want it nice and tight. The drive band that comes with the Pioneer, if you ever want to replace it, the Pioneer, Aura, Suzie, and the Luna all use the same drive band. So when you look at the description of my shop, you're going to see Pioneer, Aura, Suzie, I think is what I have right now. Pioneer, Aura, Suzie, Luna. So they're all the same dimension, and I always have these in stock. So there you go. So that's that. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to change out the flyer. We're going to do that with the wheel on the floor because I want to show you how I treadle the flyer off of the wheel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the flyer. Right now on the Pioneer, I've got the Delta flyer on here, and that's because when I run demos off the Pioneer, the Delta flyer is really easy for beginners because it's got all open guides, hooks, and orifice, so it's really easy to load to be able to start spinning. But the Pioneer comes with the standard fine flyer, so I'm going to switch this out now so that it's set up to be what it should be directly from the factory. Here's the standard fine flyer as I described it before. The guides are open, the flyer hook is open, but the orifice is a ceramic lining, so you need some sort of a tool to thread the fiber through easily. You can like try and work it through there just without a hook or anything, but it's a lot easier if you have a hook. So to remove the flyer, this is one really cool thing about Majacraft. It's a super easy way to remove it. Hold on to your pulley, and this is why you want to make sure your pulley is installed nice and tight, and just give your flyer a nudge just to loosen it. So now it's loose on the threaded part of the shaft. And then what you do is you just treadle. You're treadling in the spinning direction, and the flyer just comes right off the threads. And then you just do the opposite when you install it. You want to make sure the hook clears the bobbin, right? So sometimes I'll make sure I have it in the center of the bar. Set it on here, treadle in the opposite direction, and there the flyer's on. And then hold on to the pulley again and give it that little tightening twist you need just to get it nice and firm, because you don't want your flyer flying around loose while you're spinning. So now we're going to load it up. I don't have my orifice tool with me, so I'm going to have to do it the kludgy way I described before, where I'm just going to thread it without a tool. Okay, and there she is, correctly loaded. So tension adjustment with the Pioneer, this one is really nice and loose, is with this knob here. So I did change the hinges a while ago. I'm not hearing the squeak, so I actually don't think I'm going to have to do anything with the treadles. The drive band is in really good shape. The tension cord is in very good shape. So I think this Pioneer is ready to rock and roll. Before I close out this video, I want to point out one important little detail. So Majacraft recently changed their flyer hook, the appearance of the flyer hook. This is the latest version where it's got these little zigzags. And I've seen people try and thread their single through this zigzag, and what it does is it causes a lot more take-up tension. You can't really control it. This is not for threading your single. This is actually a little handle to brace your hand against. They used to have just a straight one, and people would complain that it hurt as they were pushing their fingers up against it to remove or to move the flyer. So don't be confused if you get a wheel. Now there's a lot of variants, and you're going to probably you can get some that look like this with a circle, some that just have the straight piece sticking up, and then this is the latest version. It's a handle. It's not something that you're going to send your single through when you're spinning. All right, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a spin just to make sure everything is hunky-dory, and then it's ready to go. So the Pioneer is now ready to be taken home if you're at Rhinebeck. I won't be selling this in my online store. This is only going to be made available at Rhinebeck. $500. It was new $989 in the store, but fully assembled, ever so slightly used, because like I said, I only used it for demos. I didn't really spin on it ever at home. 3 bobbins. I'll have the Allen wrenches with it. It'll have the drive band, your tension, everything is all set up. It'll be ready to spin, fully assembled. So I'm going to spin on it right now, and what I want to use is some of these beautiful roll eggs that were from the store Hikari Handmade. So she's a Majacraft fan. This is called Fair Isle. It's 100% merino wool, non-superwash. So I'm going to just give this a spin. As you know, if you know anything about me, I don't usually spin other sheep's wool. No, I just spin my sheep's wool. So this is kind of a nice treat. Now, one thing about the Pioneer, because the head doesn't shift, and I think this is why they used the standard E-flyer, you can draft at an angle, but there's no shifting or tilting of the head with the Pioneer. So I can, you know, do this, but I'm not going to be able to move the head like I can with the Aura, Suzie, or Rose. You're going to hear a little rattling sound. That is the bobbin moving freely on the shaft. That is not a fault. That's what it sounds like. And that's all part of Scotch tension, where the flyer leads the bobbin. The flyer is fixed on the shaft. The bobbin is able to float freely on the shaft. So there might be a little tappy, clattery sound. If you can't stand it, take your Allen wrench and move this collar ever so slightly towards the bobbin, but you don't want to do it so much so that the bobbin isn't able to freely shift. Another thing that you can do, if you're hearing squeaky sounds or something, you can always dab a little bit of Vaseline on the shaft before you install the bobbin. So I'm going to do a bobbin install right now really quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Removing my flyer with our nifty technique. Removing the tension cord. So you can just put some Vaseline, not a ton, like a little bitty dab is plenty. I'm going to put the bobbin back on, install the tension cord. Another thing about the tension cord is if your spring is extended, there's something wrong. You should not have to have that much tension to take up correctly. Give it a little nudge. Okay, another couple things I want to tell you about the Pioneer wheel is that because it doesn't have the same type of head as the Aura or the Suzie, you will not be able to take advantage or use the high-speed head or the overdrive heads with the Pioneer. So I hear a lot of people tell me, you know, I pretty much just spin one kind of yarn. This would be ideal for that. You set it up and then you just spin the same thing every day, which is perfectly fine. I'm kind of like that. But in terms of adding more, the other heads, that's not an option. You can use the wheel skeiner on it. You can use the jumbo bobbins, any of the jumbo flyers, which would be the Wild Flyer, the Aura Hybrid Flyer. I have two flyers that are jumbo flyers that I have in the shop. The Jumbo E and the Jumbo Fine Flyer. They're sort of custom for me. I requested to have those because I like the smaller orifice. I think that's pretty much it, the extent of the accessory. A lace kit and stylus kit, you can use both of those on the Pioneer. So it's got some flexibility. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you can make it to Rhinebeck. If not, I will be loading a video of our time at Rhinebeck, so you can sort of vicariously enjoy it through that. If you're going to be coming to Rhinebeck, bring your wheel. If you've got any issues with it, we can take a look at it. And also bring any fiber that you're having issues getting it ready to spin. If there's some processing quagmires you've run into, I'm more than happy we can take your fiber and run it on any of the prep equipment and get you back on track. Thanks again. I hope you can come back soon.